Lust might bring people together, but it will not keep them together. It is unfortunate that lust has taken over the place of love in our contemporary world. Lust has such a prominent position in our society that some people don't even know the difference between the two. What many people exhibit is lust and not love. It is becoming harder to define love in our generation because while people lust after themselves, they speak the language of love. This is the truth. You and I have to deal with lust. If you are married, you have to deal with lust. If you are not married, you must deal with lust. If you are a man, you will have to deal with lust. If you are a woman, you will have to deal with lust. If you are young or old, you have to deal with lust. I remember a lady in her 60s came for counselling. She told us how her husband, who was in his 70s, would always go out of his way to look and lust after women when they were out in public. You see, this is a common mistake that people make. They believe that lust will get better with age. After all, the Bible did say in 2 Timothy 2 verse 22, "Flee also youthful lusts." Allow me to tell you the truth. Aging will not deal with lust. Time will not deal with lust. You must deal with it. Lust left to its own devices is disastrous. Lust clouds your mind and judgment. Your ability to make good decisions goes out the window when lust is involved. When you have sex on your mind, your reasoning skill and your decision making is poor. Lust makes you not responsible. It is like a drug. When people are high on drugs, they are not as responsible as they would be with a sober mind. Lust will make a man to forfeit and destroy a 20-year marriage for 10 minutes of pleasure. Isn't it really foolish for a man who has built a 20-year marriage to forfeit his wife and children and begin to pursue a girl for 10 minutes of pleasure? What is the wisdom behind a man leaving his wife to pursue another man's wife? Lust blindfolds a man and robs him of his wisdom and strength. And one of the biggest lies you will hear is that lust is a male-only problem. No, it's not. Women struggle with it just as much as men. There are some things people do that they try to hold the devil responsible for. Meanwhile, it is their lust that caused them to act this way. Apostle James said it in James 1 verses 14 to 15. But every man is tempted, when he is drawn away by his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. I know this may be hard to hear, but some of the situations we find ourselves in is because of our own lust and our lack of self-control. And then we blame God, saying, "Why did you allow this to happen to me?" Or we blame the devil for destroying our lives, when it is our own decision which has led us to that predicament. 1 John 2 verses 15 to 17 warns, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever." This passage starts by saying that we should not love the world because anyone who loves the world cannot love the Father at the same time. Then it continues by saying that all that is in the world is lust in its various kinds. Moreover, this world is dynamic. Therefore, lust will not last. It is very easy to get attracted to someone through lust, but its pleasure is only momentary. It will not last. There is perhaps no more common problem in this world than lust among men and women, especially in these last days. Lust has eaten deep into the essence of humans, to the extent that several persons have lost their senses and have become thoughtless as a result of it. It is one of the spiritual viruses that is infecting people in this generation. even more than any other time in history. Lust, which is an uncontrolled craving for something, especially sex, has no good end. Lust leads to fornication. It begins from the heart before it is manifested physically. If you fail to deal with lust, it will not fail to deal with you. David had a good understanding of this. His experience after committing adultery with Uriah's wife was such a bitter one. The consequences of lust greatly outweighs the momentary pleasure derived from it. No one ever found satisfaction in lust. It is insatiable. The reason divorce is becoming rampant is due to lust. Not many persons will acknowledge that the breakup of marriages is a lust problem. When two opposite sex lust after themselves, all they crave for is to gratify their sexual desires. Any marriage that has its foundation on lust is expected to collapse. There is no miracle that will keep such marriage except the couples repent and turn to the Lord for help. Love is the foundation for any home that will last. We cannot throw caution to the wind and expect to have a happy home. Lust cannot sustain a home because the best it offers is sexual pleasures. This is the reason several marriages in our society have broken up, for the flimsiest excuse you can think of. We forget that open communication is based on loyalty, and that trust for good financial handling comes from pure relationships. Love will endure the other person's differences and be willing to forgive, but lust has zero tolerance. All that lust seeks is pleasure. It cannot forgive, neither can it endure differences. Moreover, lust knows nothing about commitment and taking responsibility. It seeks what to receive rather than what to give. The problem of lust has been fostered today with the web, video rentals, piped-in cables, etc. Through the internet, pornography and nude photos are being massively watched, and as a result, the hearts of people are greatly polluted. The demons of lust gain access into the souls of people through these bad sites they visit. Thereafter, they begin to seek for how to physically express the immoral acts they have watched. The problem of lust affects all ages, both the young and the old. It takes conscious and deliberate efforts to wage war against it. Couples whose marriages are built on lust will hardly find satisfaction in themselves after a little time of living together. They will begin to lust after another person. Such people can never enjoy their marriages. Lust is so painted and accepted that many Christians think it is part of living. They have neglected the admonition in 1 Corinthians 6 verse 18 that says, "Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body." If the Bible asks us to flee fornication, it means that we have to deal with lust, which leads to it. If we deal with lust, the problem of fornication will be dealt with alongside it. It is unfortunate that several Christians have accepted lust as normal. Can you imagine teachers teaching how to handle lusts rather than to overcome them? Lust shouldn't be handled any way else than to deal with it and walk over it in victory. If you allow lust in your heart, you will regret its consequences. You cannot put fire in your bosom and try to handle it without getting burnt. Lust is destructive. It will scatter what it gathers. It could bring people together, but it will never sustain them. If you fail to control and overcome lust, it will control and defeat you. Ammon failed to overcome his lust, and he died as a result of it, forfeiting his potential to become a king as the first son of David. The Bible admonishes us to guard our heart, and one of the evils we must guard our heart against is lust. We must take responsibility to wage war against lust before it causes regrets and puts us in the risk of eternal judgment.